Hello and welcome to TB3 Sports Talk. I'm here with the full plethora of guys. It's episode 107, and we have a lot of bad news, bad games to talk to you guys about in Tampa Pro Sports. But guys, I think this is going to be a predominant Bucs episode. Will has his creamsicle orange hat. Joel has his creamsicle orange shirt. But it seems like those orange creamsicles, all that happens is bad in those jerseys.
The creamsicle jerseys, the white ones are okay.
White ones we've done pretty good in.
Yeah.
There was some magic in the white ones.
Yeah, so I guess only wear the white ones. The orange ones are off limits.
It's sad but true.
I've
said this the whole time though. I'll take a loss for the creamsicle. If creamsicle means loss, I'll take it once a year.
All right, so my question to you before we get into the game, guys, is what was your more favorite uniform matchup? We have I think it was 5 or 6, all white creamsicles versus the Seahawks blue and silver throwbacks, or you got Thursday night, you got the orange creamsicles versus the Falcons red helmet throwbacks.
I think it would definitely be the one versus Seattle because I do like an away and home. It was still cool at the Falcons because they do have a pretty solid retro uniform, but just be like the Bucs and have an away version. Make it a little more crisp and sharp.
They need to go back to red helmets just in general. The Falcons desperately they need to go back to red helmets.
The Seahawks throwbacks are some of my favorites.
They're awesome.
So to see the Seahawks and the Bucs together, that was like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, it's just that color. That color and the gray with gray helmets is so good.
And
the shoulders, oh my goodness.
And the blue and green on their Seahawk logo,
the
way it pops.
That's the perfect color scheme.
Yeah.
Because, fans, you probably don't know this, but the Hartford Whalers used to have that blue and green combo, and my goodness, that's some of the best color combinations you can do. Like when I'm designing stuff, I'll often do that blue and green color scheme because it's so good.
That's a solid pick.
And
I would agree.
The Rays have come close to that color scheme a couple times. It's like, guys, just fully devote yourselves to it.
And I think, too, it was a little special, it being the expansion bowl. The Falcons are divisional rival, but, we started out in a couple different divisions, had some old rivalries, and that was a nod to the 76 season.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was cool.
Nice.
I would agree. I think that was a better uniform matchup. But Thursday was electric, and something that was electric for Falcons fans was their fourth quarter comeback, a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter. The Falcons, they don't like having the lead. I guess they like being, behind. The Falcons, they come all the way back in the fourth quarter, score the final 15 points of the game, and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28 on Thursday night, dropping the Bucs to a 7-7 record, dropping them to second place in the NFC South. Really just an ugly game all around. Just a lot that's gone wrong in a 5-day span for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guys, what are your thoughts on this game and the Bucs right now?
I just think, I don't know. I feel like I've said this before this season, but I think, number one, that was by far Baker Mayfield's worst game. Passing, holding on to the ball too long, I think that was a huge issue. Almost taking out Mike Evans as soon as he came back with the airmail. I think, too, defensively, again, I think Bull's biggest issue is the soft zone coverage and kind of playing to prevent the big play, but not, being aggressive enough, kind of playing conservative. I think, too, there's just a lot of missed opportunities and stuff doesn't go their way, I think. From the start of the game, the offsides call, on the field goal that ended up leading to a touchdown. I think when the Falcons got it within one score, again, you forced a fumble there and you have Bucs all around it. You don't fall on that football.
That is unbelievable. That is one of the most unbelievable plays I've ever seen, to have 5 Buccaneers in the area with really nobody in between you and the ball, and to not pounce on that football it's mind-boggling. It is truly mind-boggling, and it is truly a microcosm of what went wrong in that fourth quarter. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It's disheartening, and it's just it's a problem. Like to not be able to go down, because again, one of the muddiest and muckiest places in football is the bottom of a pile, a scrum for a fumble. That's where, boys become men. That's where, the fight for the football begins. And twice in the fourth quarter, Tampa Bay was just out hustled and out physical for the football. And I think that really shows where the locker room is, and that shows where the Bucs are. You can keep going with your rundown, but it's bad.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say they were out physical. I mean, you have guys flying into the ball, and especially playing football, and you go through turnover circuits, and that it's a lot easier to sit and go, oh man, how did they not come up with that? But when you get on the ground and stuff like that, I mean, that ball flies around, bounces around. It's difficult, and I think that's kind of what happened. Is you just have a lot of guys moving at quick speed, all flying to the ball, and it just kind of squeaked out from that pile. I think and then too, even on that touchdown, you can say his butt got down first, but it was so simultaneous. And again, it's one of those where they call it a touchdown on the field, and then you don't have enough evidence to overturn. I think that's a little ridiculous.
Which is dumb, because the referee, if you guys watch that play, you watch the referee, it took him
3 seconds.
10 to 15, it felt like 10 seconds for him to decide what the call was. And if you are that unsure of what you're looking at, there should be an option for officials to put the play straight to review and not have a call on the field that needs to be upheld, because, again, that was not a clear call. The call on the field should not have a merit in that situation when the referee obviously was very unsure of the call, and it was such a close play. I think if it was a 50-50 and just went to review, I think it would have gotten overturned, and I think the replay would have shown that his butt was down before his elbow was down before his butt. But when you have kind of that weight in the call in the field, even when you see that the call in the field is very, very shaky, I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years. I don't know why the call on the field becomes a law of the land, especially when just stuff happens at such a fast pace. These guys, I mean, you can't tell me these guys can see it better than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to, at some point, the NFL has to go, we don't know. We're just going to go straight to the booth. Going to go straight to the booth. They decide. And I'd be totally fine with that. But again, it's just having to have all this clear and substantial evidence to overturn a call that guy didn't know. He's just making a judgment call. I mean, that's ridiculous. So there's that. And then, the final thing is the strip sack. You had the game won there and just couldn't come up with it. I think the rule's a little dumb there. Tie goes to the...
Have you ever heard?
I've never
heard that.
It's like they came up with that on the spot. They're like, in this situation, tie goes to the offensive player.
I know, and that's the thing that bothers me with the NFL is it just seems like every single week there's just something new that you've never heard of. And we're all in our 20s. We've been watching football since we were kids, and you find out something new every day, some weird rule, and it's just ridiculous.
And even the guys in the booth were kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it should be, especially the NFL, it should be who comes up with the ball.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that it's just I don't know. That was a pretty alarming. But at the end of the day, that situation puts you in 3rd down and 28. And for the Bucs not to be able to get off the field on that play was pretty, it's ridiculous. Alarming. It's pretty unexcusable.
Yeah, well, I think too that makes me mad as well, because that 3rd and 28 should have been 3rd and 33, because Kyle Pitts false starts on that play, no call. He ends up leaking out and getting 14 yards on it to make it 4th and 14, and they shouldn't have given up that either. But again, it's just bad officiating every single week, and it's not all on the refs, of course. There was plenty of bad on both sides of the ball, but again, I just cannot stand this with the refs. This is their job. It's their full-time job, and they just get so many things wrong. And especially, too, it's like they were calling the penalties. Falcons had 19. They were they were throwing the flags, and then in that situation, you go, let it go. Let it go.
Sometimes just swallow your whistles, boys. You're not the star of the show.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can agree that they might have missed a false start, a low shift. I saw the play, but, man, for 3rd and 28. I mean, that's inexcusable from the coaching staff, from the players on the field. That is really an all-timer choke moment for the Bucs. One of the worst, I would say, piss away games of the Bucs in my lifetime. It truly is, and it really comes down to just not executing. I mean, you look at the plays. I mean, offensively, just a pretty horrible interception for Baker Mayfield in the fourth quarter. Just not seeing the defense, not being able to recognize that the defense is in zone. And a good play by the defender, but Baker Mayfield just you can't. You can't turn the ball over in that situation. Obviously, you can't turn it over in any situation. And then you look at that drive. You're around midfield. They got the ball to start that drive on the 40-yard line because of a bad kick, and they're not running the football. I mean, you look at Bucky Irving. He got 60 yards on the game. He's averaging 3.8 yards per carry, and I mean that 3.8 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry would get you down and get you in field goal range. And for them to come up throwing in that situation when all you need is to milk the clock and and kick a field goal is poor management by Josh Grizzard. I think he called a better game against the Falcons, but there were still a lot of very, very questionable calls. And then you go to the next offensive possession to throw it on second down was ridiculous, but you had the man open. You have Ibuka open, and Baker Mayfield throws it so far behind him that he's not able to come up with it. And, then you punt the ball back, and then on defense, you're not able to execute. Like Will mentioned, you're not able to recover fumbles when, the first major play Hassan Reddick makes for the Bucs. It could have been a moment like, oh, it's the coming out party for Hassan Reddick. You're not able to come up with that fumble. And then, for the secondary to be out of position on that 4th and 14 play. I mean, I've seen the all-22. I think that a lot of people, put that play on Kendall Vildor for not sinking far enough. In my opinion, watching that play, I think Antoine Winfield botched that play. I really do, and I think he's covering the middle of the field when there's not a single receiver in the middle of the field, and he got fooled, and he was out of position. And on 4th and 14, where you kind of understand what the goal is and where the offense will be going, especially against the cover 2 defense, I think that was pretty ridiculous. And then just poor tackling all night. This was just so many poorly executed situations and plays by the Bucs on Thursday night that's going to kind of ruin their season at this point.
And going back to what you said about the run, that was something I noticed in the Saints game as well. Like, for whatever reason, and it happens a lot, but these past 2 games we're talking about this week, they gave up on the run game so early, and they really could have just kind of iced the clock, taken more time out of the game, and in the end, you kind of let the Saints do it on you, and then you run out of time because you weren't running the ball.
Yeah, and, to go back to address all the points you were saying, I mean, I think, Grizzard, I mean, at the start of the year, he looked untouchable. I mean, just the calls he was making, the offense just looked so crisp, so sharp, and now we're at this stage, and it's just like, what are we doing, man? I agree with the run game. I just think we weren't running enough, and that's kind of the problem I had with Cohen last year. Is it seemed like the running game would work at times, and then we'd go away at it, and I thought Grizzard at the start of the year was doing a great job of just sticking with what works.
Yeah.
But I feel like this offense now is just kind of all over the place. It's just not sharp. And again, you have with the O-line, I mean, in just a lot of these situations, even dropping back to pass is ridiculous because they just cannot hold up. They can't do it. And I know there's a lot of injuries, but you got to stick on the ground. And it was working. Like seeing Bucky Irving in the Wildcat, that stuff was working. Yeah. They were getting a bunch of yards every pop. And you just go away from it and go to pass. I think, to close out the game like that, I know you lose 4 yards on first down, and I know the play was there. Ibuka was there, but you just shouldn't be throwing in that situation. The Falcons have used up their timeouts. You run again on second down. It goes a 2-minute warning. You bleed 40-plus seconds on third down out of the 2-minute warning, and the Falcons are getting the ball back with about a minute less of time than they would with throwing and taking a sack and stuff like that. So you just totally botch that there. And I can kind of appreciate going for it, like, being aggressive, but at the same time, they didn't have any timeouts left, and you just stopped the clock for them when you didn't need to. You didn't need to. Just precious seconds that were saved on the clock for them. And then, with the play, man, I mean, this is a problem. I think Bulls called the perfect play on that 4th and 14. It was the disguise cover 2 look. It looked at like cover 3. And again, you have your supposed to be superstar safety there looking completely lost. And then Vildor, who's really on the field probably because McCollum goes hurt. And, I get cover 2, you're probably going to have that cornerback playing more of the flats, more something short, but you have to be aware of the down and distance. You have to be aware situationally, and that's one thing where you can blame Bowles for this and that, but again, these guys are professionals. They've been in this system. Antoine Winfield's been in this system. You can't be mad at Bowles for that. You should know better. You're a professional. You get paid millions of dollars. You should have more situational awareness, and it's not on Bowles to babysit them.
Yeah,
They should know how to play a 4th and 14 cover 2, kind of the bread and butter of Todd Bowles' defense. So
I agree. I think in defense of Vildor, the guy that was in the flat right there was Bijan Robinson. And that's a guy who, if you let him get a running start, he can get 14 yards out of the flat. So I kind of understand why Vildor was not as quick to sink back in the coverage. Just again, I'm not going to come here and claim to be a hardcore X's and O's football guy, but I've seen enough football to understand that. And I do think it was a solidly good call. I think there was plenty of bad calls, bad scheme by Todd Bowles, especially when you look at the success of Kyle Pitts, which is I'm sure we'll get into, which is a guy that just notoriously, a guy who wishes he could play Tampa Bay every single week with how he's produced against the Bucs as opposed to the rest of the teams in his career. And I agree, and I think there's a lot of mental and execution mistakes from this defense that really should not happen. And like you said, man, like these are players that should not be making these mental mistakes. A guy who's making a lot of the mistakes is Lavonte David, and I get he's an older guy, but he should not be making mental mistakes at this part of his career. Antoine Winfield is one of the highest paid safeties in the NFL. He should not be making these type of mental errors. And I think that there's just a lot of players that you would hope to rely on this Buccaneers defense that just have not been reliable this season.
Well, I think that's the problem, and I think, we'll probably get into it, but I just think, if you're going to go after Bowles, I think you have to add Jason Light into that conversation because, again, we're relying on Lavonte David to make a bunch of plays when he physically can't anymore. He can't, and it's sad, but that happens. It's the NFL. You're going to get to an age, you're going to slow down, your body's going to slow down, and you're just not going to be able to make that plays. And what have we done to help him out? What have we done to help him out in that group? You can't really put anybody else out there because we don't have anybody. We don't. And you go, well, why is that? Why haven't we gone and gotten a big name veteran or addressed it, in the early rounds of the draft? We just haven't done it. We've relied on Servace Dennis, who isn't even healthy yet again, and hasn't been that his entire career. And he's a 3rd-round pick, and it's just stuff like that. And same thing with Vildor being out there. Somebody got hurt, but again, that was just a low risk, backup signing that wasn't. A really great move or impactful move by Jason Light with using, money for free agency. And I think, at this point in the season, you might as well see what Benjamin Morrison has, play more of him.
Well, he's a healthy scratch.
Exactly.
And that also goes back down to Light because that's the guy you went up and you got in the second round who was supposed to help the team this season. And it just, has not been ready to help the team this season. And I agree. I think my biggest gripe is Light's unwillingness to be active at the trade deadline, unwillingness to make trades around training camp and stuff like that. I understand that Jason Light has a good track record of drafting. There's no denying it. I think he's done a good job. I'm sure there's definitely been some misses, but there's been also a lot of hits, especially on offense. And I think those draft picks are valuable, but I think there's also a point where this is a team that at its current health right now, it should be ready to compete for a Super Bowl. And it should be ready. It should not even be, in the same stratosphere as the Falcons right now with all 4 of your main wide receivers healthy, with, Jamel Dean playing, with Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby healthy. Like this is a team that should be, an upper and a different class than the Falcons, but because of these, defensive, mishaps and these players not developing on defense, and kind of just the lack of, veteran talent and reliable talent, and that's sometimes, when you put so much stock in draft picks, you hope for the best, and you hope for the potential, and you hope for the absolute booming of that prospect, which you don't always get. Sometimes when you're trading for a player in between his mid 20s and mid 30s. Like you kind of lose that outcome of potential. You lose that boom potential for the player, but you also know what you're going to get. And I think that's the biggest problem with the Bucs is there's so many young players, there's so many players that you just don't know what you're going to get on defense. And I think that's really plagued them. And I think if Jason Light would, have focused a little bit more on building through trades and building through free agency, I think there would be a lot more consistency on this Bucs defense, which is really what they need. They have some players that can do special things. They have some players that really, really I think are talented, but they just need consistency, and they just don't have that right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think Jason Light, he can draft. I think a lot of things. I think one mistake that we've made as a franchise and as fans is I think gave him a little too much credit for when Brady came to town, because he made some good picks, but you look at a lot of those mid-late round guys, especially some first pick booms like Mike Evans was his first pick, but like 2014 to 2018, I mean there was a lot of just complete bust drafts. I mean, not even a single guy really made an impact in those. And I think Brady comes in, he wins a Super Bowl, and it's great for Jason Light for getting him, but I think we have to be realistic and look at he's still made plenty of mistakes in the draft. Plenty of mistakes. And I think, I said this, and with the Super Bowl thing, I said this back when we drafted Ibuka. I said that didn't really move the needle for me, and thinking, and deciding whether I think this team can be a Super Bowl contender or can get to the next level. I said Ibuka, wasn't doing it for me, and it really wasn't, because I think, again, we've just totally neglected the defensive side of the ball. And he's made some solid picks on defense, but he hasn't picked any superstars. He hasn't picked, just total game changers.
Other than Vita Vea.
Come on, man. You don't like Vernon Hargreaves?
Vernon
Hargreaves,
I wouldn't say Vita Vea is a superstar.
Vita Vea is about as close to a super.
I think he's the best pick he's made since Evans.
Vita Vea, I mean, again, your opinions on Antoine Winfield he's definitely had a bad last couple seasons. He was a superstar in 2023.
I think he has superstar potential, but he's not playing up to it.
He is
and that's
not.
Just the reality.
I think Vita Vea is a superstar is a big threshold. I wouldn't say he's like Vita Vea is top 5 of his position. I don't think that's.
And I would take all 4 in front of him over him.
But that's still a star that's picked by Jason Light.
I don't know. I wouldn't say he's a superstar. I disagree.
That's fair.
And you just look at some of these guys and they're just not producing. They're just not. They're solid NFL starters, but they're not superstars or game changers. I wouldn't say Vita Vea is a game changer.
I think that's a bit ridiculous.
I don't think he's. He comes up with a play here and there, but
dude,
there's plenty of times he's been non-existent in games.
This is the guy that
I don't know if you win the Super Bowl without him.
Yeah,
again, that's 4+ years ago.
But look at the guys he had around him too to make him better.
Yeah,
I think that's a little bit harsh on Vita Vea. The impact he makes in the run game. I mean, you look at the Tampa Bay's run defense since Vita Vea has been there, has been in the top 5 in nearly every single year, and he produces and gets sacks. Like I really do think that's underselling Vita Vea a lot a bit, to be honest.
That's just my opinion. I don't think he's a superstar.
Let us know in the comments.
It doesn't forgive Jason Light.
Do you consider Vita Vea as a superstar? I think your point is still valid. Yeah. Like, I think Vita Vea, you could say Antoine Winfield, but there's been a lot of bad picks. You look at Chris Braswell. Oh, my gosh.
Terrible
just
pick.
Not a good pick. I mean, you look at, even... I like Jacob Parrish, but he has really fallen off a cliff this second half of the season.
He has potential, but again, it's just you're relying on developmental guys to apparently make a Super Bowl run, and
Logan
I think
Hall,
that's ridiculous.
Joe Tryon-Shank.
Logan Hall was there. He wasn't their first. He wasn't a first-round pick, but he was their first overall pick in that draft. And again, I mean, he's terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
No, I agree. There's definitely been a lot of misses on defense. More misses on defense than offense.
And all you guys' conversation kind of reflects the Rays' way of thinking as well. Like, they've been horrible in the draft the last 10, 15 years plus. And with the Bucs as well, you see the Rays are best when they're making those kind of trades. So the Bucs at the same time should be making trades like that, where they can kind of bolster, where they can find those players that have been developed a couple of years and use those draft picks that were going to be misses anyways. So part of where the Rays succeed is what the Bucs should take a page out of.
And the best teams make trades. I mean, you look at the the Bucs, when they won in 2020, I mean, there was a lot of homegrown players. There's a lot of players from the draft, but there was also players that, were traded for or acquired in free agency that filled in the gaps. And they filled in the gaps nicely because you knew what you were going to get from them. You knew what you were going to get from Tom Brady. You knew what you were going to get from, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Shaq Barrett, guys like Jason Pierre-Paul, these are guys that you brought in because you knew what you were going to get from and you knew how they could affect your team. And that's just not always the case with going through the draft. And, I think that there has to be a balance. You look at the Chiefs, you look at the Eagles, these teams that have won recently, they have plenty of, great draft picks, plenty of homegrown talent, but they also acquire teams, and there has to be more of a balance from the Bucs if they want to go to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to pull my hair out because I look at how the Eagles were able to trade for Jalen Phillips for a third-round pick. I mean, what are we doing? That's peanuts.
That is
peanuts. Pick, man. And I know, and that's his thinking though, because he goes, third round pick, that's a Bucky Irving or that's a this and that. But again, it's just you could have had an impact right now. And again, if the front office is going, this is a Super Bowl caliber team, well then why aren't you making the moves to do it?
I don't think the front office ever bought into this being a Super Bowl caliber team. Which again, if you don't believe that, then I can excuse you not making those moves, but at some point, this core has to make that jump. And I don't know. And again, we can move back to Todd Bowles because I don't think he's off the hook. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, but I think I think in terms of, again, I think there are plenty of games this season where Todd Bowles has just flat out gotten out-coached. And I think there's you look at that Buffalo game, you look at even the Atlanta game. I even didn't really love what I was seeing. I mean, the Saints scored a season-high points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tyler Shuck looked like Lamar Jackson last Sunday, and it's pretty ridiculous to think about. And you look at Todd Bowles, and you look at all of the things that are coming out after this game. You look at Mike Evans, after the game, just absolutely livid. A guy who just busted his butt to come back from a broken clavicle and come back in less than what we thought he was going to come back in a shorter time frame, and come back and have 6 catches for over 130 yards. And you look at just the passion and the anger that comes from him. And then you look at Todd Bowles, who is putting the blame on the players. And maybe that's rightfully so, but still, we've never seen Todd Bowles do this. 7 F-bombs. Think about the kids, Todd. Yeah. In his interview, 7 F-bombs, Todd. And then you look at, videos of Baker Mayfield getting into it with Josh Grizzard, videos of Vita Van Hassan Reddick and Antoine Winfield arguing with each other coming off the field, and just frustration. And you look and it's like, is Todd Bowles, has he lost the locker room? Has he lost this team? Has he lost the belief of this team? Is the vision getting clouded? Is the vision, are people clashing with each other inside the locker room? And can this continue? And is this a breaking point for the Todd Bowles Buccaneers? Because again, I'm not going to act like I was around. I don't know the ins and outs. I wasn't born yet. But Tony Dungy was fired for a worse record. Tony Dungy was moved on for a worse record. And we might just have a Tony Dungy situation where the locker room culture needs to be changed to propel this team to the next level.
I mean, I don't know. I think, guys getting upset after a loss and getting upset at each other mid-game, I mean, that just shows the passion of these guys. Again, these guys put their heart and soul into this, so I think getting upset is just a part of the game. I think Todd Bowles clearly is upset because, again, like we talked about earlier, he calls the right play and guys aren't doing their jobs. This is still a player-led team. This is in the NFL, it's a player-led team. You have to have the players who are bought in and set the culture and the standard. And again, they're not doing that. The Bucs stars are not doing that. They clearly aren't, because we're failing to put away games. We're losing games we shouldn't. And, back in 2022, that's something that Tom Brady said, is that he appreciates how Todd Bowles has kind of let this become a player-led team. And that's Tom Brady saying it. And I think you look at the moves they made with Jason Pierre-Paul, I think, bringing him back, that's not really a we need him to play. We need him for the production. I mean, that guy's super old. Mm-hmm. They need it for a culture setter, somebody who's been in the building, has won a Super Bowl, knows how to win, has been a winner his whole career. You need somebody like that, because clearly the players aren't stepping up. They're making mistakes. And again, like I said earlier, You are making millions and millions of dollars. You're being evaluated all the time. They've been evaluated since they were in middle school, right? You know what's right and what's wrong. You know how to play the game. You know how to be disciplined, all this and that. Todd Bowles can only do so much. At this point, it is on the players. It is on the players to close out the games and make the plays. It is, I think, too, Baker said this game was on him, and that's leadership right there. That's taking responsibility because he did play a bad game. He did make mistakes, and I think the whole team has to have that accountability. They have to say, this is on us. We have to do it. Again, you can't babysit these guys. You can only do so much.
But don't you think bringing in Jason Pierre-Paul is kind of a reflection on how poor Todd Bowles' leadership is for needing to bring in a veteran guy like that? I understand the player-led stuff, and I understand that there's a lot of responsibility in the players, and I think that's good, and I think that is an effective way to run an NFL locker room. But I do think that still, even in the NFL, your culture comes from your coaching staff and the energy and the identity that they bring to the team. And then this team feels very, very identity-less. And I just don't know. And I think it's kind of like a desperation gimmick almost to bring in Jason Pierre-Paul in a way, just because it's like at some point something has to happen within and with the guys. And that's what Todd Bowles said. That's what Baker Mayfield said. But it actually has to happen, and change has to happen, and it just seems like there's just these lulls and these mental breakdowns are just a continuation and a constant thing under Todd Bowles' tenure. And I just wonder if we've reached a point where this is what a Todd Bowles team is. This slump, this frustration, this lack of finishing games, these lulls. Like it might just be a point where this is what Todd Bowles' tenure as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach is, and they got to move on if they want to get rid of it.
We've been saying, too, like, players need to get healthy, and now Evans is back, now Bucky's back, and we still had a game like this, so, I mean, eventually you have to pass the blame somewhere else. Like, we can't be pointing so much to the injuries anymore. Like, it's got to be something else.
Yeah, but these guys are playing bad. They're coming back and they're playing bad. Like I said, you can only coach so much.
Bucky's played good,
but Baker's playing bad, and who's Mike Evans? The only way he can get the ball is from Baker. The offensive line is playing bad. They're the only people who can protect Baker. Like, again, it's a team-wide thing. And again, Bowles can only do so much. And I think if they do miss a playoffs, if they lose out, because I think I'll change my tune a little bit, because this team can still win the division,
That's
right?
fair.
They can still win out. They can still beat the Panthers. And then again, I think, a lot of that goes away because, hey, you're in the dance. And once again, in the NFL, it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you get there and you compete for the trophy. I think that'll change a little bit if they don't do that. And I think they can win these games. But I don't know. I think we have to wait a little bit, too, for some of this. And I think they should beat the Panthers, too. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of issues with them with consistency, too, and I think the Bucs can do it. So
yeah, that's fair. I think that this year will tell me more than years prior because the Bucs, they're going to have to win it. There's not going to be any giving the division. I mean, you look at last year, they were, relying on the Commanders to beat the Falcons to get in. The year before, I mean, again, no team with a winning record. You're 9-8. The year before that, 8-9. This year, the Bucs will likely have to win out, finish with a 10-7 record, and not only finish with a 10-7 record, but beat the team that is ahead of them twice to make the playoffs. So if they can do that and they can go down there and get those big wins, I think I might change my tune.
Yeah.
I still would like to see what happens in the playoffs because, again, another first-round exit, especially if the Bucs are healthy, might still be unacceptable in my opinion. But I think it's good. I think we can move forward a little bit if you guys are done with this Atlanta game. And I guess just mention. I guess I can. Were you just checking the score of the Panthers game? Is that where you're?
It's at 425.
Okay.
I just wanted to confirm that. But yeah, I mean, again, and with that too, we talk about winning out. Something happens. Tyler Shuck has another legacy game. All the Bucs have to do is just win next week, and they clinch the division. They don't even have to worry about the last two games. So again, we could be totally changing our tune after next Sunday, and this team's all locked in and bought in again. I just think,
and I'll say it, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope the Bucs have to win every single game, and it goes down to the final week where they have to come up clutch and beat Carolina in Raymond James Stadium. I want to see this team earn the playoffs. I do not want to see them waltz in.
Well, they would earn if they beat Carolina.
But again, if they beat Carolina and they end up losing that fight, I want them to win out and take it and play up to what they need to play to. And I'm a bit cynical right now. I am a bit upset with the Bucs, so I'm a bit cynical right now, and I admit that. But I want to see them win these final 3 games. I don't want to see it be close. I need more convincing wins from the Bucs, and I want to see them do it. That's what I want to see. And I want Carolina to win today, so Tampa Bay has to go out through the rest of the season and win all 3 of these games to go to the playoffs.
The only way I'll stop being cynical is if they have a convincing first round win in the playoffs. If it's not convincing, he's gone.
Possible. If they get blown out in the first round, it could be a reality. I guess it's hard to really preview the Panthers game at this point. I don't know if you have any ideas.
Yeah,
or any
I just think like the Bucs match up really well, and this could be almost a get back game for them, especially after coming off a pretty bitter loss. Because I think number one, the Panthers are super inconsistent. We've kind of seen that all year. I just think with Dave Canales, everybody wanted to give this guy flowers, but I really don't think he's that good of a play caller. I think that's kind of been the issues with the Panthers offense is, again, it's just too inconsistent. It's too boring. It's a little too complicated. And I think, the defense, who've been struggling with pass rush, that's somebody who they can get after is Bryce Young, because the Panthers' offensive line has been terrible all season. That's somebody who you can get after. Their receivers don't really scare me. Oh, man, I love Tet McMillan, but I think, that's a great matchup there. I think defensively, Panthers are kind of in the same boat. They also struggle to get after the passers. So I think, that offensive line that struggled, that made me think of something else because we just have to talk about it. The offensive line that struggled passing the ball or pass blocking. Again, I think you have an advantage there against Carolina. I mean, their secondary is pretty solid, but they've struggled, on both sides of the ball pretty frequently, pretty consistently. So I think the Bucs have a chance.
Oh, I
know everybody's in doomsday mode and saying, I'm not going to predict them to win all 3 games. I'm not going to predict them to be favored in one of them. But no, I think they have a legit shot to beat Carolina, and I fully expect them to. I think they're a much better team. I think Carolina's overhyped because of that one guy who sang that one song.
If you had... Okay, anyways, big key for the Bucs next week is going to stop the run. They allowed the Falcons to run for over 5 yards a carry on Thursday night. The Panthers rank right now inside of the top 10 in rushing yards per game. They got a 2-headed monster, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, obviously, household name running backs that you guys all know back at home. That was a joke, by the way. But, I think that... Yeah, if they can stop the run and make Bryce Young have to beat them fully by dropping back, I think the Bucs are in a good spot. Defensively, I agree. I think Tet McMillan is the type of receiver that Jamel Dean and hopefully Zion McCollum, if he's back, kind of flourish against. Slower but more physical. That's kind of the corners that are good. I'm not really worried about Carolina's tight end play, which is always something that I always look for because I know the Bucs very much struggle against. I have 2 stats that I wanted to pull up just because. Okay. They're Falcon stats. All right, sorry. Since week 5 of last season, Kirk Cousins against the Bucs has 11 touchdowns and 1 interceptions. In his 14 games against every other opponent, he has 9 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So bad. He has, and you know what? Kirk Cousins has been owning us since day one. If you guys don't recall, you like that game was against the Buccaneers. A comeback against the Buccaneers. Really, really shambles. And then also, Kyle Pitts, in 8 games in his career against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6 receiving touchdowns. He has 8 receiving touchdowns in his 67 other games combined against all the other teams. So just those Falcons, man, we struggle against them.
I'm surprised we even won one of the games. That was the mixed field goal game.
That was Penix. Penix don't own the Bucs. It's just Kirk O'Chains.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, you talk about how bad the Falcons are, this and that. Again, it's still divisional. That doesn't. It's divisional games are tough in the NFL. They just always will be. I don't really care, how bad these guys are because these teams develop and draft and sign free agents to beat the other teams in their division. They match up well against the Bucs. It's just going to happen again. And I think the Bucs match up very poorly against the Falcons because we have no good linebacker play over the middle of the field, so that leaves Pitts wide open all the time. But then even so, you have Bowles lining up Winfield on him, and he gets burned out of his shoes. So, again, bad play. That's bad play on our defense. One thing I did want to bring up, though, and I think it's time to talk about Grant Barton, man.
Trash.
Oh, yeah, he cannot be
awful. He's terrible.
So,
he is absolutely terrible. And, again, that's somebody who I remember sitting on this podcast with you guys talking about all the defensive guys we were going to take with that pick, and we take Barton, and this guy is consistently in the bottom 5 PFF grade every single week on the entire team.
He was a lot better last year. He has been bad.
When he's not playing center, he's better too. Like, he just can't be the center.
I think I would consider. I would consider if everyone was healthy, I would have considered switching Bredesen and Barton and having Barton play guard and Bredesen playing center because he was a lot better at center than Barton was this season.
He's just getting bullied in the middle, just absolutely bullied. And again, like,
I wonder if
PFF grades aren't the end all beat all, but like getting 30s is ridiculous.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's really bad.
You're getting 30s.
He's in the 40s almost every week as well. It's 40s or 30s, and I wonder if the having to prepare at left tackle during training camp has stemmed a lot of his struggles, like whether that was, the weight he was trying to get at or the technique. I'm not trying to like fully excuse him, but he's definitely taken a step back this season. And I wonder if him having to start the season at left tackle was the reason why.
I guess, but again, he played all those positions in college. He knows the ins and outs of those positions. We've seen Tristan Wirfs. I know Tristan Wirfs is a far better player, but he switched from right to left pretty easily, no issues. I just think, again, he's just playing bad, and that could be yet another miss about Jason Light. And I want to clarify, too, before we move on with Jason Light, I just want to make the fact that, like, we want to throw all the blame on Bowles. Everybody wants to throw Bowles under the bus for everything. It's Bowles' fault. And my stance is, if you're going to get rid of him, you might as well get rid of Jason Light too, because I think he just has gotten away with a lot of things because of the success with Tom Brady, because of the Super Bowl. And I think for me, if one gets fired, both should get fired. And that's my opinion.
Fair enough. So yeah, next Sunday, this episode's coming out on Monday. Next Sunday, the Bucs will head to Carolina to take on the Panthers. It's a 4:25 game. The biggest game of the season. Really going to put whoever wins that game is going to be on the inside track to winning the NFC South and making the playoffs. Huge game. Again, we still have hope. Still have hope here. Still rooting, but definitely a game where the Bucs need to get back. 2 straight divisional losses for Tampa Bay against teams with bad losing records at home at Raymond James Stadium, no less. So really, really big struggle. Anything else on the Bucs, fellas?
No, just continue to support them. And this is my my black pilled take is there is a little part of me that hopes that would wouldn't mind if they lose out, just because I think we could get rid of some of these bandwagons. Like, I think there's just too many people. Just seeing all these people on Twitter like, oh, man, I'm done with this team. Yeah. I'm not watching the rest of the year. Yeah, it's because you started in 2020 and they won a Super Bowl, so now that's your only standard. When there's been 50 years of Bucs football, your only standard is 5 years with a Super Bowl. That's just makes me so mad. Like, I'm done with this team. I've given up. I'm not even watching the rest of the year. And it's like, are you serious, man? And, there's nothing, like, there's one thing, like, not settling for mediocrity or bad, but, like, this team is still in the playoff race. Yeah. They could still, like I said, something happens at 4:25 today. Shuck has another Lamar Jackson legacy game, and the Bucs win next week, and they're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs locked. Crazy. Like, I just think, too many people just kind of just unrealistic standards, and again, when you've only been a fan for 5 years, it makes sense. So it is very easy to tell when someone has just started becoming a Bucs fan. Like, you could tell pretty right off the bat someone who went through the 12 years of no playoffs or whatever it was. Like that shapes you as a man. That shapes you. Or like people attacking Gerald McCoy on Twitter, like. Like, do you know how good Gerald McCoy was? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that makes me really mad. They're like, what do you know? Like, are you kidding me?
I know who he is.
He's like, you have no idea how good Gerald McCoy was.
Gerald McCoy is a little bit of a jerk. I've attacked him in conversation.
I get it, like having disagreed with opinions, but man, that guy, as a kid,
he was good on the field, but off the field, I'd punch him.
Really, off the field, man.
Yeah.
He, I'll never forget it. I mean, I was want to say 11 or 12, I think, and my parents would drop me off like on random, Tuesdays or something, and I would go watch training camp, and he would hop into the stands at $1 Place and sign every autograph until everybody was gone.
Yeah, and then he's like,
I swear to you that football up there has his autograph on it. I just don't know where
something changed
exactly
though.
it is.
Then one day he was like, I hate the Bucs. I'm on the Panthers now.
But he's come back. He's
back.
He said it. I remember I think he was bitter that the Bucs let him go.
I'm still bitter at him for that.
No, I understand.
I think you want to be a Buck for life. Yeah.
He did. I think he was very, very bitter that the Bucs let him walk. I think that, and he said some. I remember because I remember that he said some pretty rude things. I remember that. Okay, real quick, we're going to go to the team that is now headed back across the bay, the Tampa Bay Rays. New ownership, same old type of cheap signings. The Rays made 2 moves this week. They signed Cedric Mullins to a 1-year deal and left-handed pitcher Steven Matz to a 2-year deal. Cedric Mullins last season, .216 batting average, 17 home runs, 22 stolen bases, a .690 OPS. He will likely be your starting center fielder. Cedric Mullins, he's had had a really great season. I think it was 2021. He was phenomenal. He has slowly declined. He's getting older, but he is a guy who has hit 15-plus home runs in his last 3 seasons, which is a thing that the Rays outfield has desperately lacked, which is pop. He can play center field still at an elite level defensively. So I think that, again, he's going to be your starting center fielder. Chandler Simpson's going to be alongside of him. Still trying to figure out that right field situation. Is it going to be Josh Lowe? Is it going to be someone else? Is it going to be Johnny DeLuca? Don't know. Then Steven Matz. That's an interesting one for me. Left-handed pitcher. I'm assuming the Rays are bringing him in to try and be one of their veteran starters. He's an 11-year veteran. Has gone through a lot, but last season, pretty good for him. He was in the Cardinals and then traded to the Red Sox at the deadline. 5-2 record, a 3.05 ERA, 76 and 2/3 innings pitched. He started, he relieved, a WHIP of 1.10. I mean, really good stuff. A 19.1 strikeout percentage. Up from his last season. A 3.6 walk rate last year. So he's not walking. This is kind of your Rays archetype of, someone who has the good command, who wants to be the ground ball pitcher, who, maybe every third or fourth game might give up 4 home runs in a game. But, I think he will probably pitch on the Rays staff. They're still trying to mold that. There's been a lot of rumors at winter meetings with some different Rays moves. But, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel quickly about these moves here.
I like that pitcher move. That's good.
And another thing is the Rays really had, until Ian Seymour came on the rotation, they were pitching all right-handed pitchers out of their staff. So to get a lefty, especially with the uncertainty of Shane McClanahan, that would be a very nice thing for the Rays pitching staff.
Yeah, I know they needed lefties. I think Shane McClanahan, all signs are pointing to good for him.
I'll believe it when I see
he's
it.
Supposed to be. Apparently he's scheduled
spring training.
He's scheduled to start throwing in January, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get kind of Corey Kluber type stuff from him, where that guy gave it his all. He got roughed up a couple times,
but he gave it his all. 2023
so.
Zach Eflin type stuff. That'd be great. I know you don't like Zach Eflin around here, but 2023 he was good. 2024 he was pretty bad. The Rays are they've actually been linked to re-signing him. Actually,
I have seen that. I'm not opposed.
I'm not opposed either.
I love a good reunion.
Well, they've also they've also been.
I saw Littell, and I would be like, yes, please, sign me up.
Yeah, because the Rays.
I was so bad at him at the start last year because he just just giving up home runs was like his routine.
Yeah, no, I do think that the Rays will what their staff is going to turn into will be interesting. Right now, a lot of unproven guys in the mix. You obviously have Drew Rasmussen. That's your horse. That's your ace. Had a phenomenal year last year. You're hoping for Shane McClanahan, but right now you got to put him in the maybe category. You have Ryan Pepio, who had a really, really good season last year.
I believe in him.
I think he was phenomenal last year. I thought he had a really good year. I think all signs point to him being a top 3 starter on a good team.
He's my friend.
You got pictures with him.
Yeah.
You got to take a picture with a fan. Anyways, and then you have Shane Baz, who's definitely an up and down pitcher. Joe Boyle, who's an up and down pitcher.
How's his face doing?
What?
Who got hit? Who got hit with the ball?
Biggie.
That was Biggie.
Oh yeah.
I was like, it's one of the B guys.
Oh yes, Biggie. I forgot.
Boyle,
that was
Biggie.
Scary, dude. He was in the dugout. I'd be so mad if I got hit in the face in the dugout.
Yeah.
And then you also have Ian Seymour, who had a really, really nice end to last season. You just signed Steven Matz. Who am I missing?
I think that's everybody. Seymour's got potential. I like what I saw
I
from him.
loved Ian Seymour.
Boyle,
man.
started off looking like, a future Cy Young and then kind of fizzled a little bit. But
Boyle's the type of guy I would love to float him and trade talks. Be like, hey, look, he throws 100. Look, he's got swing and miss stuff. Don't ignore that walk percentage. Just hey, look at that.
On that one Sunday for like 5 innings.
Yeah, so I'd be interested in trading him, which is fascinating because I know you guys don't want to believe this. I know you guys are skeptics, but the Rays have been heavily linked to star second baseman Ketel Marte. And I will tell you this. Ketel Marte is only on the books for about $14 million per season. That is the same amount of contract that Ha-Seong Kim made last year. So he's not out of the Rays' price range. The Diamondbacks are looking for young starting pitching that is MLB ready. The deal that was circulating around was they wanted Shane Baz and Ryan Pepio. I would have a hard time letting go of Ryan Pepio, but man, Ketel Marte is a top 15 player in Major League Baseball. If you could add him to the Rays lineup, that could be a game-changing move for the Rays. That could be a perfect guy to bat right ahead of Junior Caminero, who is coming off a 45 home run season. And also, Brandon Lau has been linked to a lot of different teams. I think a lot of teams are interested in him.
That's interesting with Marte because Chandler Simpson coming up was a second baseman shortstop type guy. So the thought is now that Marte's and Simpson's going to go to second base and Lau's out the door.
Do you mean Chandler? Or you mean Carson Williams? Chandler Simpson's the outfielder. Carson, are you?
No, but Chandler Simpson coming in the minors coming up was a second baseman. I believe so.
I don't think so.
It might be worth checking.
It might be worth checking. I'm pretty sure he'll play outfield. I think you're thinking of Carson Williams, the shortstop.
No, because everybody's been saying that they don't want to lose Simpson's speed, so he might be going back. He might be going to second base with Lau leaving.
Here, I'll look it up.
I mean, I could be wrong. I've heard that from different people.
Shortstop in the
middle infield specifically. maybe not minors, but maybe college earlier on.
He played shortstop, various infield spot, but he moved primarily to outfield, center field.
He hasn't been good, so they bring in Marte. So
he was a shortstop in college, but but since he's been in the Rays minors, he's been in outfield. But
so
Carson Williams,
they might be putting him back now that we have Marte.
Well, no, they'll have Carson Williams play shortstop.
But he's going to second and Lau's out.
Yes, that's probably
so then this Diamondbacks guy. I mean, it's there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
there.
so I would think Marte would hopefully play second base. And I would assume if we traded 2 starting pitchers to the Diamondbacks, we would probably. My personal thing is I would like to see the Rays transition Brandon Lau to an outfield spot and have him play corner outfield and have
play. His soft body.
He could.
Outfield is played like one game in left field, right?
Yeah,
he dives for one ball and then his back's broken.
I feel like he's way more likely to get hurt playing second base than outfield.
He doesn't really dive for balls that much.
He does. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you go to outfield. He runs into the outfield wall and
because early on in his career, he did play right field.
He played a couple times. I do remember that. But can you imagine him running down a ball to the wall? He hits the wall. His hat falls off. His bald head is blaring, and he holds the ball up.
I mean, he would
catches
farm some stuff.
Yeah,
but I just
that could work because low, get low.
That's
what
I'm saying. I would assume they would probably more likely trade Lau for some starting pitching if they let Pepio and Boz walk. But personally, for the lineup, I think if you could get Marte and keep Lau, I mean that would be a really, really good
dream
lineup.
scenario.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Get rid of I won't say it.
Yeah, you gotta say it.
No.
Say
Keep going.
You gotta say it.
Come on.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, whatever. You know we're not going to disgrace you.
But I want you to say. Are you gonna say Yandy Diaz?
Maybe.
That's fine. That's
that's the heads or tails trade around. Is it Bila or you?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a Yandy Diaz truth.
I mean, he's good. Like it's not like it's bad. I just think.
I mean, if you were to trade Diaz, Lowe becomes your DH.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I like that. And I feel like he would stay healthy. And I just think some point he's going to start declining. I just think.
Can you imagine Simpson, Marte, Jr., Aranda, Diaz, Lau, and then you got Williams, MLB generated catcher, and then Josh. No, not Josh Lowe.
Did you say Taylor Walls?
He ain't playing. He backup. He could come in for defensive replacement. But I mean, I don't know. That would be a really good lineup.
He's coming in to pitch hit, bottom 9, down 1.
He's pretty clutch.
He was good last year with runners in scoring position. I don't know what you're talking about. I love Taylor Walls in a utility role. Don't love him in a starting shortstop. No. Wow, I almost said something crazy right there. Role. But yeah, so a couple moves. Hoping next week we can say, are the Rays going to win the World Series with Ketel Marte? Because that would be a really, really a game-changing move. I know the Dodgers are kind of unfair, but what the Blue Jays did this year kind of makes me buy into the fact that sometimes you just got to believe. The Blue Jays were dead in water, and they became a wagon just kind of based on developing prospects.
They were also
like
spending
200. Yeah,
they were spending money and willing to spend money. I mean, they were trying to get Shohei,
it was about
and it was close.
Well, they were willing, but they didn't get anyone. They re-signed Vlad. They got George Springer, but other than that, I mean, that was homegrown. That was a homegrown team.
But the trades team made some big trades.
Not really. They got Shane Bieber.
That's a solid trade.
That's a solid trade, but that's not a Rays. That's not a trade that was
Scherzer.
I mean, that was like that's a Rays move if I've never heard one. Get Scherzer.
We could never get Scherzer.
Oh, we would totally get Scherzer.
Don't give up.
We got Corey Kluber.
We'll get him when he's like 47.
That's what he is
Nolan
now.
Ryan.
As long as we get a bobblehead.
That would be
with the different eye color.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I need something to remember something memorable.
I just want to get him just so he can be a TB3 slideshow post. Yes, Max Scherzer, Tampa Bay Rays legend. Yeah. Anything else, fellas? All right. That's episode 107. Leave your comments down below. Thoughts on the Bucs. Is this the end for Todd Bowles? Is it Jason Light's fault? Who do you guys put to blame? All that good stuff. Let us know your grades on the Rays signing and what you guys think about the Rays 2 free agent signings, what you guys would like to see the Rays do for the rest of the offseason. If you are interested in college sports, we have a USF game preview of the Cure Bowl coming out on our page, and it should be out right now as you're watching this video. Check out the Bulls are trying to get to 10 wins. Check out that episode. We're going to preview the game. But anyways, follow us on Instagram, follow us on X. Thank you guys for watching, and have a beautiful and blessed night.